But it's another game that is shrouded in VAR controversy, and we cannot get away from that. And I want to start off by stating that this is not on Newcastle. Newcastle didn't cheat. Newcastle didn't pay the referees. They're not to blame for any of this. So get Newcastle out your mouths. It's not on. Go for PG, MLO, the VAR referees. Because we saw controversy tonight on an epic scale. We saw controversy, a lack of consistency, mind-boggling decisions. A game that ended with 22 men on the pitch, but there could have been 2 or 3 red cards in this game. The goal in itself, huge controversy indeed in relation to the ball going out of play, a push in the back of Gabriel. And I'm taking nothing away from Newcastle. And I know what always happens when you do these videos. The fan of the team that benefit is, oh, you're just trying to take something away from us. I'm not. You got the win. Well done. Congratulations. We're going to move on to how good a team you are later in this content. But first and foremost, I want to start with a controversial moment in the first half, which I cannot believe went unpunished. When Bruno Guimaraes, when you watch it in real time, sometimes I say when you slow things down, things look awful. In real time, you see the way he raises his arm for no reason as he goes past Jorginho and smashes him in the back of the head out of frustration and anger. This is clear, unadulterated, violent conduct, which should have led to a straight red card. Now, you could argue that Kai Havertz's challenge was a red card, and I understand some people do. I think a yellow card was just right. If the front leg of Kai Havertz hits the player, then I would have said a red card, but it was a trailing leg. It was reckless, but not deemed dangerous by the letter of the law. They got that one right. But there, I cannot believe that Bruno has not been sent off. What a player, but he lost his head. Later on in that half, not even booked, by the way, later on in that half, he boots the ball at an Arsenal player and isn't booked for that either. He then gets booked later on in the game for another raised hand into Jorginho's face. But by then, the game looks out of reach for Arsenal. Should have been off that football pitch twice in this game. So Arsenal fans should feel aggrieved because, in my personal opinion, that's assault. And Newcastle, they caught some life there, 110%. Now, the next bit of controversy surrounds the goal. And I'm still confused. I'm genuinely bona fidely confused as to how this goal stood. Not because, I'll get into why as we go through it, because it's the wording they use. Remember, when the commentators give you an update, it's because VAR directly speaks to them. So this isn't something Gary Neville has said, it's what he's been told by VAR. So first of all, I don't know why that dropped off there. First of all, it clearly appears to me that this ball went out of play. Now, what they said, VAR, is that there was no conclusive evidence that it went out. Now, I can accept, as a football fan, if you say there's no conclusive evidence that the ball went out. However, how on God's green earth do you disallow Man United's goal against Brighton 5 or 6 weeks ago for an identical situation where the ball is pretty much in and around the same position? It's on that borderline of in or out. So they said that Man United was conclusive, but Newcastle's was not. That, for me, is where the controversy is. Either they got the Man United one wrong and we were robbed. We've had no apology. It's never been debated on any airways anywhere. Or they've robbed Arsenal. One of those situations is going on here. You, the viewers, can give me your thoughts, your feelings, your opinions on this. But 110%, for me, if you give Man United out of play, you've got to give this. Because it's not subjective. The ball is about the same position as Rashford was. Everyone remembers that moment. It would have been an equalizer in a game that we ended up getting beat. Got another goal, though. Who knows? Goals change games. And in the same goal, we'll move on from that. I'll get your opinions in a minute. In the same goal, you can clearly see Joel Linton push Gabriel in the back. For me, it's as clear as a nose upon the end of my face. He pushes him in the back. Yes, Gabriel exaggerates it a little bit, but that's what people do, right? Last week, everybody said, look, it was only a little bit of a tug Højlund had on Rodri, but Rodri went down, therefore it must be a foul because it's minimal contact, yes, but it is still a foul technically. It doesn't matter that Rodri went down easy, it's still a foul, Terry, everybody said. So again, consistency is what we're looking for. So there's a little nudge in the back. That's not within the rules. It doesn't matter that Gabriel kind of throws his head back a little bit and arches his back. It's a foul. And this is how you know it's ridiculous. No one would ever do this, but they should to prove a point. Arsenal should have spent the rest of the game just lightly pushing Newcastle players in the back because they've set a precedent here, VAR, that little pushes in the backs are not fouls. But we know they are. You never get away with it. If a player jumps up for a ball and you give him a little nudge, they always blow the whistle. Always. Why not on this goal? Why did Man United concede a penalty last week for minimal contact, but it was a technical foul, and this didn't? And this went the other way. The foul wasn't given. It beggars belief. It genuinely, bona fidely beggars belief. And I know there'll be people out there. I know Newcastle fans will be offended by what I'm saying. I'm not having a go at your club. I'm talking about VAR. And I've said it every week where there's controversy. Yes, you won, celebrate it, but you can still call out the fact that goal was as dodgy as a £9 note. Because if, as fans, we don't call this out, if you allow your hatred of Arsenal, I'm not saying Newcastle fans specifically, your hatred of Arsenal or your enjoyment of watching them lose cloud your minds, you might be an Arteta out guy. And by the way, we are going to get onto the team later and talk about all of that because there were things wrong. You shouldn't not talk about the decisions. You can't just go, I don't care about them this week. I'm more angry at Eddie Nketiah. That's silly. You're letting football down, in my opinion. But these decisions are absolutely horrendous, and they are happening each and every single week. And people can call me a closet gooner, but I've done this for every team. I backed Liverpool on this recently. I backed Spurs on this recently. Of course, I spoke out about Man United. I'm going to be doing something on Wolves. Wolves robbed for the same thing 2 weeks running. An opponent kicked the ground and fell over. No contact from their player, and penalties were given. It's happened twice in a week. A player's kicked the ground. It's, for me, as I'm not a Newcastle fan and I'm not an Arsenal fan, calling out these decisions is far more important to me. Genuinely it is, because they have become an absolute joke. And as I stated earlier, especially with the ball going out of play, this was deemed conclusive that the ball went out. VAR has said that this is not conclusive, so they couldn't give it. It does not make sense. The inconsistencies are an abomination to this sport that we love so much. It really is. I want to get your thoughts and I want to get your feelings. Please smash like and share buttons and leave us your comments below. I'm going to go some super chats, and I'm bringing my panel out, people to have their say. First one here says, refs have to be held accountable. They've been terrible this year. No red on the punch to Jorginho early, and then 0 for 3 VAR checks is ridiculous. What I will also say as well, I will say this for balance, Kai Havertz, that slide tackle second half where he went through, I think it was Callum Wilson, he could have got a second yellow for that as well. So that's one I want to make sure I don't miss out on, because I don't want to be biased towards Arsenal. But on balance of decisions, Arsenal got a home cooking today. I never blame refs, but Rob today, Bruno Guimaraes, has to be sent off in the first half, and Joel Linton rides Gabriel like a horse. Apparently that's legal. Yeah, look, and if Bruno Guimaraes gets sent off, it's a completely different game, in my opinion.